So if you've had problems since getting your vaccine or booster, I'm going to go over one article I found that's really interesting and insightful about some challenges that people may be running into and some of the things that we've thought about in the past about this vaccine that we should be thinking. See, the British Journal of Medicine over the last 4 or 5 months has been coming out with several really great articles that are critiquing the methods and processes that have happened in getting the vaccines that we are being exposed to and told to take researched. So one of the studies that they did, it was actually an investigative report that they had petitioned by a researcher that worked in one of the labs in Texas that was responsible for doing some of the field studies. Now, in this article, and I'm going to provide a link to the article down below so you can check it out yourself, it discusses some of the challenges and problems that this individual test site went through, having to do with poor laboratory management, worries of FDA oversight and or inspection, and guiding the people who were doing the tests to not document some of the challenges that they ran into in applying the test procedures so that the FDA wouldn't look at them or question them or bring down any concerns about it. And when employees actually raised question about this and or even reached out to the FDA in regards to this, they wound up being terminated. Now, to me, this is a concern, and I sure hope that this didn't happen widespread throughout many of the places that did the field work on tests for these vaccines, because this site, where there was a call into the FDA, never was looked at. The FDA never reached out to them. They never had questions about them. They never did any further inspections on it. Now, if you're winding up doing some really important testing as it regards to health for the entire country and or the entire world, and there's a question about your test procedures, this is really important to be looked at and to be questioned and or to be inspected. You know, the article goes on to talk and say and suggest that in the inspections of the sites that were used for the vaccines, which are primarily related to Pfizer in this study, there were over 150 different site locations, and there was a total of 3 inspections done over those sites. None done to this one where there was a claim put in of concerns of following protocols that were outlined for the study. They also go through and talk about how there wasn't just this one person who was fired the day that they put in the concerns reports, but there were 3 or 4 other employees at labs by this same company that had questions about it. Now, if you've got concerns about this, that would make sense. I do as well. And this is a study from the British Journal of Medicine, which is a highly reputable and looked upon beacon of medical journalism and research. They went through and did thorough studies, thorough research on this to make sure that they were providing accurate information. Now, the next level of challenge with this, and the article goes on to talk about this, is in the reports that were provided in regards to the approval of the Pfizer vaccine for all of us to wind up using, there was a question that asked if there were any concerns about protocol or questions put into place. And this one that this employee has said that they've done and they've documented was not mentioned. My concern for you and for all of us is if this was overlooked, what else was overlooked? What other problems were found? You know, one of the challenges that they did have was that there was over 500 specimens that were never actually tested to determine if there was COVID or not in it. Now, in a study where there were only over 250 positive results in the entire 30,000 people study, 500 potentially positive tests, that's a lot. This missing information really can shed some light on whether or not we're taking the right approach towards managing our health and towards making sure that we're staying as strong as we can. So if you've gotten this far in the video, you probably want to know, what should I be doing? Well, I want to tell you, in terms of utilizing or receiving the vaccines or not, that's a personal decision that you need to make. Okay. However, what I know, in that I'm telling every individual under the sun, is that we need to look at some other methods that have been very successful and are very safe for managing our exposure to immune system dysfunction, including symptoms and severity of this illness. And that one of the main ones that I've seen is vitamin D use. So for most people, we know vitamin D is important for helping to build strong bones. But what it also has been shown to do is reduce inflammation, improve your gut lining and absorption of nutrients. Some of the early studies, as it was looked at in regards to people who were having bad responses and intensive care unit visits and deaths, was that many of these people had low levels of vitamin D. Now, if you're in the Midwest like I am, that means that's really bad for you, because for over half the year, we don't get sunlight. So you've got to be sure that you're supporting yourself with alternative forms of vitamin D. One of the things that I realized is that I had a chronic history of vitamin D deficiency. My test and lab results showed up as 20 nanograms per milliliter for years, and I never really took action on it. Shame on me. As soon as I started to see this research, I put myself on 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. And then I started to monitor my vitamin D a bit closer every 6 months. And what I'm glad to say is that the last test that I did just a few weeks ago, I was able to raise my vitamin D levels to 67 nanoliters per milligram. And that's been shown over 50 to reduce the likelihood of severe responses to this illness. So I want to encourage all of you, get your levels checked and then determine if you need to wind up adding this into your life. But if you're in my area, I feel as though every individual needs it. One of the next things I'll recommend you do is hop onto plenty of vitamin C. This is a readily available vitamin. It's been shown to be very safe to take, and you can take 1,000 milligrams 4 or 5 times a day to help boost your immune system. Additionally, zinc has been shown to be really powerful as it relates to viruses. So let's look to jump on it. These action steps can help your body fight off any virus that it runs into and help you to continue to be strong and healthy through whatever you wind up running into. If you've got questions about this, go ahead and write them down below. If you want more help, write down below. If you like this, give this a thumbs up and go ahead and share this with someone who you know. Once again, my name is Dr. Gregg Gerstin, and I want to thank you for letting me be a part of your health.